Yes, brother.
This is a question from
Surah Al-Nahl, chapter 16, verse 69. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. وأوحى ربك إلى النحل أن اتخذي من الجبال بيوتا ومن الشجر ومما يعرشون. What kind of wahi was that?
You see, the word wahi and ilham both have been used in the Holy Quran very widely, and they have very wide range. Here we read about the Nahl, that it received wahi from God. Again we hear about Musa, that Musa was also spoken to by God and wahi was given to her. Neither of the two was prophet. And then wahi of prophets. And also in between there are so many other humans, not necessarily ladies, but men as well, who are recipients of wahi in different ways. So to relate wahi to Sharia alone is absolutely wrong. Neither it is confined to Sharia in humans nor in animals. In fact, the basic phenomenon of wahi is the same as ilham. And there is only a nominal difference in terminology. The Holy Quran speaks of the creation and everything God created. فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ دَسَّاهَا. So everything which was created by God, God أَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا. So from the overall study of the usage of wahi and ilham, one should understand one basic fact and the rest will become easy to understand. Any communication from God to anything else is either wahi or ilham. In ilham, people think that it is the verbal message. In wahi, as the Holy Quran speaks of wahi, in different forms, in dreams, in visions, Varai hijab, and by sending angels. So they think that wahi is much wider in application. It can, wahi of Anbiya could be in dreams. And all the ulama of Islam are united on this, that the dreams of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam were all wahi. And the Holy Quran supports this fact. What he was shown in dream, the Holy Quran refers to it as wahi. So they think that this is the difference, that wahi is in fact all sorts of communications, which could be verbal, directly, indirectly, through angels, through dreams, through intuition, and so on and so forth. And ilham, the thing, is spoken word which comes from outside. But as I have proved to you, this is also wrong. Alhamaha fujuraha wa taqwaha is used in a situation where it's impossible for you to conceive that God spoke to things and they received the ilham as if they had brain and they understood it. They both mean communication. Ilham is mostly applicable, as according to the Holy Quran, to things which are etched upon nature, and they go into the making of things. For instance, when life is created, every species is confined to a certain behavior. Every species knows what to do and what not to do. Every species knows which things to avoid and which not to avoid. So this is the ilham of which the Holy Quran speaks, alhamaha fujuraha wa taqwaha. If they do this, they are going to suffer because they outstep the right course. It's fujur. Taqwaha, what they should take care of, so that God promotes them in the right path. So this is for all animals, even things without life. They have been told by God what to do and what not, what to avoid, what not to avoid. Now, a magnet does not have life, but it knows in which direction to be attracted. Another pole of the magnet is repulsed from the other side, is attracted in one direction, and the other pole of the same magnet is repulsed by that and does not want to go near. So it was not a verbal ilham which made them this. The nature of things is created by God, and no one can violate that internal teaching in all the material world before life. So ilham here means when we created something, we defined the areas of behavior, and we let everything know that you should do this, you should not do that. And this works in nature like an inviolable law. Why inviolable? Because they have no choice. So ilham begins from there, because the verse of the Holy Quran which I have mentioned speaks of everything, in fact. وَالسَّمَاءِ وَمَا بَنَاهَا وَالْأَرْضِ وَمَا طَحَاهَا. All the creation is mentioned, and then it comes to وَنَفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَّاهَا, and nafs and that which went into balancing it. Again? فَأَلْهَمَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا. So here the word nafs can be understood by some to mean that only the life is mentioned here. But the whole style at least gives me the message that nafs can use about everything as well, as a unit. So nafs means the nature in that sense. So here, if I translate the word nafs as nature of things, so the meaning would be that God created everything from heavens to earth, and in them are things of different natures. Natures as concerned the law of God created for them. And they, as such, are clearly told, not in words, but in nature. What to do, what not to do, what to avoid, what not to avoid. So, as far as the nafs does not become independent, it goes on like a cycle without any option to have a different behavior. This is also the same scheme is mentioned, kullu yamulu ala shakilate. So here the word nafs is not used, just kullun. Kullu yamulu ala shakilate farabbukum alamu biman huwa ahda sabila. But the following verse defines the word man, defines that here it is the live people which are mentioned, not the dead things. So if you read the Quran in the previous verse, in the following verse, in the first part, in the second part, it makes itself clearer and clearer. Although the kullun word is also applied to the whole universe, but here, because it is followed, وَرَبُّكُمْ عَالَمٌ بِمَنْ هُوَ أَهْدَى سَبِيلًا. So that verse, that shakila, is the shakila of the live things, not only humans, but zawil aqul of some type. Animals have also their uqul. So I believe that covers the life, but Allah maha fujuraha covers everything. Now you see the difference? And as it enters the area of life, here that shakilat, which is general, that is covered by ilham. Allah maha fujuraha wa taqwa. There is no exception. There is no animal who is not definitely formed in a certain way, and it cannot cross the borders of its creation. It will remain within that. If an animal has no sense of smell, no eyes, no hearing, yet it knows what to eat and what not to eat. So this is the meaning of ilham in relation to life. Understand? And here the word shakila also comes into play. Fujuraha wa taqwaha is defined further by the word shakila. That we have created them in a certain form and shape, and they always remain within that form and shape. But when it comes to this verse which we have recited, وَأَوْحَى رَبُّكَ إِلَى النَّحْلِ أَنِ اتَّخِذِي مِنَ الْجِبَالِ بُيُوتًا وَمِنَ الشَّجَرِ وَمِمَّا يَعْرِشُونَ ثُمَّ كُلِي مِنْ كُلِّ الثَّمَرَاتِ فَاسْلُكِي سُبُلَ رَبِّكِ ذُلُلًا يَخْرُجُ مِنْ بُطُونِهَا شَرَابٌ مُخْتَلِفٌ أَلْوَانُهُ فِيهِ شِفَاءٌ لِلنَّاسِ. This is more than ilham. Because in ilham, every animal is common. In Wahi, it's a particular one single animal which has been chosen and selected for this. So at this stage, we can say that Wahi is more selective than ilham. Although the general meaning is the same, communication from God, as I've already explained. So because they are fine points, this is why I'm taking time to explain these things in reference to these verses and in particular cases. So when you enter life, the area of life, ilham comes into play by creating a conscious behavior, but unconsciously controlled. This is also a difficult situation which Obade must understand before he translates. When a fly falls upon filth, she does it consciously. She knows she's doing it, but she can't control it. That desire to fall on filth is not conscious, but the knowledge that I'm doing it is conscious. When a dog bites, he bites because of his nature. When he barks because of his nature. He's conscious of it, but he can't change it. The nature will remain the same. So, despite the fact that the animal kingdom is conscious, that is why the word man can apply to the animal kingdom. But in an area below humans, it is controlled by instincts, as we call it, or natural disposition, which is etched upon it like laws. Nobody can violate those laws. So in case of Nahl, the Holy Quran tells us that it was not just like ordinary animals that we gave it some quality. We specifically created this thing in one of the insects to create a certain situation which will benefit mankind like no other animal can benefit. And it will also be a lesson for mankind. Lesson in the sense that the honeybee and the ordinary fly are very similar to each other. houseflies, you know very well, they're found all over the world. No one in the world in the world is unaware of the fact what flies are, and they behave universally exactly the same way. They're fond of filth. Go to dungs, go to the filthy places, and there you are. You see it all abounding in flies. But honeybee is her sister, made almost exactly like that. But what a difference! What is the difference? Oha rabbuka ila an-nari. This is the difference. That is why I said Wahi has a special quality, although it does not make everybody Nabi. But different from Ilham, this is the meaning of Wahi, which is done with a specific purpose of distinguished treatment. While other members of the species who have this ilham etched in their nature, they can behave differently, but this particular member of that species, which has received Wahi, it will show a difference. Such a marked difference, it's impossible to confuse. So this is the example which makes the things absolutely clear now. Honeybee goes to the top, highest places, away from dust, away from filth, goes to the trees and mountain tops and rocks and whatever supports people raise for lifting their, like wine, what would you call grapes की जो है वाइन कहलाती है ना, grape ना वो WINE VINE wine. This climbing, this bush-like thing on which fruit grows, if it's twining, it's not a bush, but it twines and needs is supposed to rise like the grapevine. So the support which lifts them also attracts the honeybees. Vimma yarishuna refers to that. So the Holy Quran speaks of first of all the habit of the honeybee, which is as a result of Wahi. And when you have Wahi, you tend to go up. You don't tend to go down. First difference created. Why always the highest places? It will never make its honeycomb on the ground level on lowly places. So, Oha rabbuka ila an-nahli an ittakhizi min al-jibali buyutan wa min ash-shajari wa mimma yarishun. Then what would happen? First, make your abode beautiful, high, pure, away from filth. ثم اسلكي سبل ربك ثم كلي من كل الثمرات. Then eat the juice of every fruit. فاسلكي سبل ربك ذللا. And whatever God has told you, do it with complete submission. Now, why this was done, as I told you, the message was to be delivered to mankind, that if you are a recipient of Wahi, this is what it will make you. The difference Wahi can create between ordinary humans and those who receive is colossal. So, man should realize that honeybee goes for the very best of fruits and the very best of the juices and the, although it's not fruit, directly speaking, but whatever nectar you find in the belly of flowers, it is that nectar which in fact is the fruit referred to by the Holy Quran. And it also sucks some juice up from the fruits as well. But that is the finest food that nature prepares. Better food than the honey drop in the belly of a flower cannot be conceived. It is the finest form of whatever the flowers are made out, the fruits are made out. So the taste is so high now. You see the difference, imagine difference between the taste of the ordinary fly and the honeybee. Ordinary fly goes to whatever low is lowly, filth, dirt, things, and eats of the filth and enjoys it. And the honeybee cannot dream of a filth. It will go for the purest of food and suck it. When this happens, then submission to the will of Allah as a class results from it, and it must be inviolable. We must not ever change it. This is the meaning of the last bit. Fasluki subola rabbiki zulala. There is not time for me to explain the conduct of honeybee to you here, but if I had time, you will be astounded to see what Subula Rabbika Zulula means. It's a fantastic thing, a fantastic animal. And it follows the way so perfectly that there is no change whatsoever. Wherever the honeybee is, it behaves exactly alike, and every time different from ordinary flies. So this is the meaning of Wahi with respect to this. It doesn't make a prophet, the honeybee, of course, but Wahi creates a difference between ordinary members of the same type of life and those who receive Wahi. In this sense, when you read that the last verse of Surah Kahf, or last two verses of Surah Kahf, then you understand the meaning. قُلْ إِنَّمَا أَنَا بَشَرٌ مِثْلُكُمْ يُوحَى إِلَيَّ أَنَّمَا إِلَهُكُمْ إِلَهٌ وَاحِدٌ. What a big difference between Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and Al-Bashar, ordinary Bashar. But Allah tells them, this is the difference. I have been completely transformed because of Wahi. But basically, fundamentally, I was just like one of you. So they fall upon filth. The Bashar, ordinary Bashar like Abu Jahl and others, they remain lowly, never think of ascending high, going high. Never think of the very best of things for life to be consumed by them. Their tastes are not refined, they can do anything, they drink wine, they eat all the filthy things and don't care. But for Rasulullah Sallam, it is halal and tayyibah. And out of the tayyibah, the very best of that. And as far as his flight is concerned, the honeybee is also a recipient of Wahi, but it is a small animal. When Bashar receives Wahi, then his flight is the seventh heaven. You see, that miraj of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallam, that becomes his flight. So you learn your lesson from this verse, and then you fully understand the import of what Wahi is. What differences does it make? And what is the true difference between Ilham and Wahi? I hope you have understood it clearly, right? Poor brother, but God has now gifted him with really fantastic capability to take the short notes and proceed from the beginning right through everything which I say. MashaAllah. Huh? The last difference is mentioned in the last part of the verse. يخرج من بطونها شراب مختلف ألوانه فيه شفاء للناس. Now the two flies, one which has received Wahi and one which has not received Wahi. The difference is shaitan bainahuma, as far as the question of shifa is concerned. One is the carrier of disease. Most deadly diseases are spread by fly, house fly. And the other, who looks like exactly the fly, very little difference is apparent, but of course scientifically they can be described, but still they are flies. But the one who is fed on Wahi, or in the instruction, under the instruction of Wahi, fiya shifa'ul linnas, whatever she produces is a source of shifa for human beings. The fly, the dirty fly, carries germs under its feet. Wherever it sits, it transfers the germs and the deathly disease along with it. This honeybee carries a sort of medicine under its feet, which is most curative. Even in cancer, it is found to be curative. And in diseases now, physicians are using it for they're putting it to many great advantages in the cure of disease. Previously they didn't know that they had. So what is the difference? Wahi. Because of Wahi, the flies who carry under their feet the diseases and things, they become the carriers of shifa, of cure, and fantastic cure for that matter. This exactly is the case of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He is granted ash-shifa, Surah Fatiha, and he has the cure for every human disease, spiritual disease. So the Quran is very consistent. If you can compare the Quranic verses here and there, take it from whatever surah you take, but they're pairs, and they combine together to produce most wonderful meanings. So this is what I wanted to point out, that Ahmad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the best of humans, whom Wahi put far apart from the rest of the fellow human beings. Other prophets also were blessed by this quality, but none like Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that is why his flight is the highest, the biggest. That is his reach, his approach to the heavenly bodies. And that is why his work, the fruit which God has given him, is the Holy Quran. Most wonderful and most beautiful thing that could be granted to any man for the survival of his soul. Honey is the food for body. The Quran is food for human thought, morals, spiritual life. And in the Quran there is shifa for every disease. There is not one single spiritual disease which you can say is not curable by the Quran. Even the cancer of soul can be cured by the Quranic teaching. This is the power of that Wahi, and this is the shifa. So Wahi has all these connotations. It creates an enormous difference between two types of people belonging to the same or similar species. No comparison is left. Wahi lifts things from the lowest surface of earth to the highest. Wahi imparts a quality of curing others, imparts a quality of being good to produce the most delicious food and cure. So this is the commonality of Wahi, whether it is given to an animal or to a man. The nature in which Wahi works is practically the same. Got it? Very clear? Right. You know, why is there no germ under the feet of the honey bee? And why I said it carries shifa instead? I'm not talking from my hat, as they say, through my hat. I'm telling you things which are well established, scientifically proven things. There was a research on the insects and the diseases they carry and the germs they generally carry in France, in the university or some institute. And one of the scientists was granted the specific task of finding out which germs do the honeybees carry. See? Each insect was granted to somebody of those insects which are commonly found in human environment. So they wanted to have good research on finding out which insect carries what germs for you to cause diseases. So honeybee was granted to one scientist. He tried his best. He tried everything possible. He could not detect a single germ under the feet of the honeybee. Amazed, wonderstruck. He made further research as to why is it happening. So he discovered that the feet of every honeybee are covered by a slight film of a chemical which is called propolis. And this propolis is a very powerful antibiotic. And propolis, if it is under your feet, will not permit any germs to stick to your feet. So this is how God has taken care. You know, we read the verses of the Quran and don't penetrate and investigate. How can we find out the beauty of God and His creation? Just by reading it, you know, some Qari recites it and you pass on. You must know how intricately God has created things of your benefit. This honeybee is a good example. Only I'll quote just single example and stop at that. They inquired further the meaning of. They inquired further. How much time? And they discovered something. All the honeybees, when they make their honeycomb, in which the honey is preserved, and they also live there, they collect a material from the trees, which is called propolis. Invariably, wherever they are, they must find propolis first. And they put the propolis all over the edges of the honeycomb. So each honeybee which travels out or alights into the honeycomb from outside, by a law must step on the edges first. It alights there and then enters. When it wants to go out, it will alight there and then go out. So the moment the feet touch this rim of the honeycomb, the feet are wetted with this material. And after that, it does not care where it sits. The germs will not be permitted to stick, to adhere to the feet. This is how God has created every care, that the honey which is produced has shifa, and there is no element of disease left in it. Tabarakallahu asrul khaliqin. Even in the small honeybee, this is how Wahi brings about changes. Fantastic things. which animals can never conceive through any evolution. Printed into them. So the Wahi here as well is not a spoken word. It's like ilham, acted upon. But there is a difference between ordinary ilham and this ilham, this Wahi. It creates a fantastic difference in such minute detail and in general in the animal which is the recipient of Wahi. See? There I end this answer, and with that perhaps the time will end when the translation is ready. So next time, inshallah, tomorrow, after this.
Okay.